Okay, irrespective of that, I'm the one that
Yeah, you can go ahead. You
produced
can
it.
go ahead. You are enabled, sir.
Okay. I mean, today. Sure. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
It's fine now. Okay, sir, you have the floor.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again. Thank you for
Good
having
evening,
me.
sir.
My name is Mesh Masade. I'm a tax consultant. Today, we want to talk about the new Nigerian tax law. Basically, there is nothing actually different from the existing tax law that was there before the change, or before the amendment, or before the new things that were added. They're just very, very few. Although Nigeria always have a way of trying to give us good laws, very good laws with good intentions. But I think one major problem we face is implementation. Like I told people last year, I said we should not rush. We should be relaxed, and then let's start the implementation first before we know the way forward. As I speak, we that are tax consultants nationwide, we are still having issues with NROS on the ground that the new platform they are migrating us to, that new platform is called Revenue 360 Degrees, which is revenue all around. Even the NROS staff, they don't even understand it. So when we go to the office to ask them for explanation, they will tell us to go to YouTube to go and watch a video. But you know, God will always see us through. So you are welcome to this particular presentation. I'm going to take it in three ways. One, how this new tax law affects us as individuals. Two, how it affects the small business owners, the sole traders, the entrepreneurs, the enterprise owners, and then how it affects limited liability companies. I know a lot of us here own our own limited liability companies. For the limited liability company, I'm not going to go in depth. I will just bring out things that can help so that you can understand it. It is better we understand these tax issues very well so that we don't always fall victim to the tax officers. Now, who this presentation is for: purpose-driven individuals, entrepreneurs and business owners, non-profit organizations, social enterprise, faith-based community organization, executive and team leaders. And then why this matter to us, overview of what has changed in the Nigerian tax law. Change one, personal income tax for individuals and employees. Payee is still deducted by employer. Now, this is for people who are working. If you are working, the employer have been mandated and is still being mandated to deduct pay as you earn, that is your tax, before giving you your salary. Now, I hope you are seeing me. Yes, I believe you are seeing me.
Yes, we're seeing your screen.
Okay, you are seeing me in person too?
Yes, we're seeing you too.
Okay, fine. So, you know, one major problem is that some people will tell you, I am working, I don't know how much they deduct from my salary, I don't know how much tax I pay and everything. It is very important you know how much tax you pay. It is very, very important. And it's very also important that you know how much that is deducted. And because if you don't, you will end up at the mercy of your employer. Not all employers are bad, but some employers are very, very crooked. They will deduct and they will not remit. And when you now fall into a challenge where you now need to use your tax clearance, you now have a problem. Especially if you decide, if you left the organization before they started remitting, or if they have not remitted before you left, they will not remit for you again because they will say you have left. And then you now start having challenge to go and pay and get a clearance. Now, the new tax, the free threshold for the new tax, most of the laws that affected individuals have been removed, like personal income, your what we call your personal allowance. Your personal allowance have been removed. There's no more personal allowance. Before they used to have personal allowance, you used to have children allowance. It was removed, and then they now brought it as consolidated revenue allowance, consolidated reserve allowance, CROA, and then all those ones have been scrapped. They just gave only two exemptions. One, that the first 800,000 of your tax payable. I'm taking it slowly so that a lot of people can be able to flow. The tax payable is not the same thing as your salary. Please, I want you to understand that. The tax payable is not the same thing as your salary. Your salary is arrived at by you and your organization. You have agreed. Now, before they do any tax payable, there are some deductions that the company will have to do. Like if you have loans, they will remove it. If you have NHF, Nigeria Housing Fund, you remove it. If you have pension, you remove it. All those things will be removed before you now arrive at tax payable. Now, that tax payable, whatever the amount that is there, if it is, let's say, the balance that want to be taxed is 900,000, the first 800,000 of that 900,000 is exempted from tax. So what will be taxed will now be 100,000. That is what that. Hello, that's what that 800,000 stands for. Now, as you know, tax is progressive. What you pay today, if you go to tax authority, they'll tell you can't pay that one tomorrow. And again, the way it was designed again is that the more income you earn, the more tax you pay. So for a lot of us that are praying to God, God, I want a breakthrough. Let my salary be increased. There is no problem. Let's assume that your salary was increased to like 20 million, 40 million, 50 million. Now, if your salary is 50 million, you are going to pay tax of 25%. So 25% of 50 million is like 12.5 million. So your tax will be 12.5 million. And I know a lot of people will be complaining, why will I pay that high tax to who? Which government? Government that is not doing anything. Whether they are using the money to do something or not, pay your tax. It is your civic responsibility. Now, I also want us to understand that the liability of not paying your payee is pay as you earn. Now, why is it called pay as you earn? You know, if you and I, we are giving our salary in bulk and we're told, go home with your salary, then come back and pay your tax, none of us will pay because the excuses that we'll give will be so much. People, we all come up with different type of excuses. Same I go home, they called me that my great-great-grandmother just died. People's great-great-grandmother, even the ones that were not in existence, they will all have to be in existence so that we will not have to pay tax. We will cook up so many challenges. So government doesn't want that. Say, please, give me the tax first, then the balance you can go home and see how you spend it. So they always deduct. That's what pay as you earn. As you are earning, they are deducting it. So, and it is the responsibility of the employer to deduct it from the employee and remit to the government. So if the employer refuses to deduct from your salary, and at the same time, they did not, if they deducted and they did not remit, they are going to bear the employer will bear the penalty for not deducting, one. Then two, for deducting and not remitting, they will bear the penalty for that. So it has nothing to do with you as an employee. Under the new Nigerian tax law, effective January 1st, 2026, we have already, I think we're almost 6 months into that implementation. Now, the tax exempt threshold has been raised. Individual earning 800,000 or less, that's what I just explained. Highlights for employed members, if you earn less than 800 per year, you are exempted. If more, you must ensure correct pay deduction. Now, I want to explain this very well. A lot of us are saying, let me not pay tax, let me not pay tax. The disadvantage of you not paying tax is higher than the advantage of paying tax. The disadvantage of not paying is higher than the advantage of paying, or the disadvantage of not paying. Now, this is what I mean. What we call tax clearance is a document certifying that you have been cleared for the tax that you paid. That is what tax clearance stands for. So if you do not pay tax, I don't expect them to give you a tax clearance certificate because you did not pay. So why are you getting a tax clearance certificate? Or everybody I have spoken to concerning this tax issue, I have always told them, please pay, no matter how small. I know the law says that exempted. I say, yes, no matter what, go and look for, make it a way, do it in a way that you pay. Because right now, as I speak to you in Lagos State that we are all in, there is no exemption for anybody. Let me explain it. If you want a tax clearance that you are going to take to the embassy now for yourself to get a visa or for your children, anything, and the government law says that you are exempted from tax. Now, if you are exempted from tax, Lagos State will not give you tax clearance. They will not even give you a certificate for exemption. So if you want that tax clearance, you will now need to pay a minimum of 150,000. Minimum is 150, and it's for 3 years for you to get that tax clearance to go and present. So why are they exempting you if you end up going to pay 150,000? And that 150 is 50,000 each year. Sometimes they'll say, okay, no, they don't want to do it like that because they know that tax is progressive. They'll not say, okay, this year they take 40,000, the other year they take 50,000, 90, then the other year they will take 60,000. So that the following year you pay another, the one higher. You can't pay less than what you have paid the previous year. So it is very important that you take note of that. Because a lot of us are always clamoring, we don't want to pay tax, we don't want to pay tax, we don't want to pay tax. The disadvantage of not paying or the advantage of not paying is nothing to write home about. So I appreciate everyone sit down, understand this tax, and be able to go and pay it. Now, also, we have, like I told you, consolidated revenue reserve have been scrapped and replaced by rent relief. Now, what does that rent relief? Because a lot of people also have issues concerning this rent. The rent relief is lower of 500,000 or 20% of annual rent paid. Let me explain it. We are going to get to that level, but let me explain it. Now, some people whose rent per annum is 1 million. You are paying 1 million naira for rent per annum, and you are an employee. Your rent relief is not 500,000. Because that is the mistake a lot of us do. A lot of people say, my rent relief is 5. The government say 500,000, they want 500,000. No. Your rent relief is 20% of the 1 million. So they will not compare between the 20% of 1 million, which is 200,000, and the 500,000, which one is lower? Your 200,000 is lower, so they will take the 200,000 as your rent relief. Now, for those whose rent is 5 million, per annum, your rent relief is hello. Now, for those whose rent is 5 million per annum, your rent relief is not 20% of 5 million, which is 1 million. No, your rent relief is capped at the lower of 500,000 and the 1 million. So your rent relief will be 500,000. That is the maximum you can claim. If your rent relief is even 520,000 or 501,000, as long as that 1,000 is higher than the 500,000, it's 500,000 you will take. That is the explanation I can give for the rent relief so that people can understand it. Now, this is the new tax bracket. If your income is between 0 and 800, now look at what I wrote here, annual income, not taxable income. Your annual income, meaning you are receiving like 70, no, not 70, 69 or 68,000 per annum, per month, aggregated to be like 800,000 per month, per year. What it means is that you will not pay tax at all. That is the law. But me, I'm advising you, look for a way to pay. Now, if your income is between 801,000 to 3 million, you will be paying 15% tax rate. 3 million, 1 kobo, or 3 million, 1 naira to 12 million, 18%. 12 million, 1 naira to 25 million, 21%. 25 million, 1 naira to 50 million, 23%. Above 50 million, they are charging you 25% straight. You just carry your 50 million and then put 50 million, 25% there. So if your income per month is, we are praying for, is 10 million per month, and then at the end of the year, you are earning 120 million, you are going to fall into this category of above 50 million. So after they have done all deductions, they will only remove your first 800,000 as exemption. Then they will not remove rent 500,000, depending if your rent is actually, and again, for let me explain that rent also. For owner occupied houses, like example myself, God have blessed us, most of us here, God have blessed us, and we are staying in our own apartment, your own building. You are not entitled to rent allowance, please. You are not entitled to, because they will tell you to go and bring the receipts at the end of the year. The reason being that there are a lot of landlords in Lagos or in Nigeria that are collecting rent and they are not paying taxes. So government wants to be able to track them. By you bringing those receipts, they will accumulate them and then write them that we know that this year, you collected this amount. You have not paid tax on it, come forward. Or government will give them tax. If they refuse them, they are going to start dealing with government on those ones. So let me leave those ones out. Let me now calculate, let me now try to explain 7 things. If your annual gross income is 1.2, now your first exemption is the 800,000. If you remove the 800,000, you'll be left with 400,000 taxable income. Now, that taxable income, what will be applied on that taxable income will be, let's go back a bit, will be what? Anybody can tell us. Hello?
0%. 0%.
No, not 0%, because
No,
they've already removed the 800.
15%.
Fine, thank you. It will be 15%. That 400 will be taxed at 15%. Look at it, because your 800,000 have been exempted already. 800,000 have been exempted. So the balance there, you have 1.2 minus 800 equals 400 taxable balance. So that's the way it is. Now, I'll give an example with myself. When I was working, all the companies I worked, I ended up paying the list of all the taxes. Reason, like one of them that I joined, I was surprised when they brought out my tax, it was very high, and I told them, no, my tax cannot be as high as this. And they said, no, we don't do management. I said, no problem, irrespective of whether you manage or you don't manage, my tax cannot be as high. They said, well, I said, because I have what I call life insurance. They said, what does that? And I explained it that if you have life insurance, the premium you pay per year for that life insurance, according to Nigerian law, it's exempted from tax. So I decided to up my life insurance payment per annum. So like every year, I pay close to like 400,000 as my premium. So it means that whatever income bracket that I have, 400,000 is exempted as life insurance premium. So imagine taking 25% or taking 15% of 400,000. For other people, they will pay because they don't have. But if I have, it will be reduced. So assuming that my income is 1.2 million, they have removed 800,000 for me as my first exempted income. Now the balance is 400,000. They now say, okay, am I entitled to rent? Yes. And they gave me 200,000 naira rent. My balance will be 200 million, 200,000. Now, the 200,000, they are supposed to deduct my insurance that I pay. So for me, I will not pay any tax because I have life insurance. But for anybody who does not have life insurance, you are going to pay more. So my first advice to everybody on this platform that are employees, go and get a life insurance. And I want to clarify certain things about that life. Getting life insurance is not a sentence to death, please. You know that mindset that when you talk of life insurance, when you talk of will, it means that the person wants to die now. No, it is not correct. That is why a lot of us do not insure our things, because we say our insurance, no. Now, there was time that insurance in this country was a problem, but now there are a lot of regulations and all these insurance companies are being curtailed. Me talking to you, I insure my car, comprehensive. I insure my house. I insure my life. I insure my phone. When I have problem with all this, I just call them. See, oh, the phone fell. It's not by I didn't deliberately use it to hit the floor. It just fell from my pocket. I give analysis. They say, send me the picture. I send them the picture. Say, how much is the screen? Say, when I went to price, the screen is 800. It's 150, 200,000. They say, okay, no problem. And they go and price it, and then they give me my money. I go and replace the screen and send to them and say, I'm done. So insurance is not a sentence to death, please. I want to make that very clear. Because a lot of us, once you tell them, go and get life insurance, they say, you want me to go and die. You are not dying. So that should be clear. If you have any question as well, go forward, please. I will appreciate if you can ask your question. You can stop me and then ask your question. This is the taxable income bracket. So assuming your rent is 600K, 600,000, you pay rent per annum 600, your income is 1.2, your tax-free bracket is 800,000, the rent relief will be worth 120,000. You'll be left with 280,000. Your 280,000 will be taxed at 15%. Now, if you have a life insurance and you are paying like 250,000 per year for life insurance, they will deduct that life insurance from this 280,000. The balance will be 30,000. It is 30,000 that will be subjected to tax. So for those who have life insurance of 250, you will be paying tax on 30,000. For the person who does not have life insurance, you'll be paying tax on 280,000. You see the difference, how important getting that life insurance is. I have life insurance. My wife have life insurance. I've had my life insurance for God knows when. Minimum like going to 20 years.
Hello.
God have preserved my life. Yes, I can tell you that. Even before I started my own business, I've worked with some people. I was having life insurance all them. But I started with a very small amount, and then I started upping it until it got to currently 400,000 that I pay per annum. I didn't start with 400,000. I started with a very small amount, but now I pay 400,000. So that is the importance of getting a life insurance. Now I'm trying to explain this scenario. Scenario B, if your rent is 3 million and your income is 1.2, your first tax exempt bracket is 800,000. Your rent relief is what? 500,000. If you discover your 800 plus 500 is 1.3, what is here that there is no negative tax. That means, because the total relief is 1.3, that means government will not be owing me 100,000. Government is not owing you 100,000, please. What it means is that by the time we remove 800, you have 400 left. The tax rent relief you are supposed to receive is 500. But unfortunately, the 400 balance cannot cover the rent. So you take 400. Your taxable income will be nil. You can't come here and put minus 100, meaning that government will be owing me minus 100,000. Government is not going to owe you anything. So get that clear. Therefore, homeowners, you have 1.2 million. Your tax bracket, your first tax bracket is 800, and then the relief is 0 because the house is yours. Therefore, what do? Your taxable income will be 400,000. Now, the question people will ask is, and which they usually ask, if the husband owns the house and the husband is working, and then the wife is also working, can the wife be taking rent allowance while the husband is not taking? No, both of them are not qualified. And then your son or your daughter that is staying with you, can he get rent allowance? No, he can't, because he's staying in father's house. If the person wants to get rent allowance, he will have to go and rent accommodation outside. And you, as the owner of the house, cannot, please, I'm advising against it. You cannot bring up a receipt because of rent allowance of maximum of 500,000. You want to put yourself in trouble. You will now come and get a receipt and be issuing to your son that is different from this so that he can be getting rent allowance relief. Please don't do that. Because the day that they will probably discover it, it might not go down very well. Now, filing of returns. I hope everybody have understood what I explained. Let me tell you about this filing of returns. Me, Meshach Masade, talking to you. I have filed my returns for 2026. I started in January. I went to them and I told them I want to file my tax. They said, okay, we don't understand the system yet. Why don't you wait? When the system, everything have been put in place. And I waited. So, okay, when they say come in March, or come, I went in March and I did my filing. If I didn't understand the filing, there will be a problem. Now, I filed and I stated my income. Now, they said, bring your bank statement. And I brought my bank statement. And they just went to the credit side. They just added everything. They said, that's my income. I said, no, that cannot be my income. This is an organization. I agree that it's a partnership. M2C Professional Services, not a limited liability. So it's like a sole trader, like an enterprise. I agree to that. But not everything that entered there is my income because I pay staff. We buy stationaries. There are consumables. I pay for electricity bill. There is fuel for M2C car. Although the car is seconded to me, we buy fuel we repair it. So you can't just take everything and say there is my income because I understood it. So we sat down and we were able to come out because when they now pick the bank statement, they'll see narration. The man was even surprised. Look at it. Fuel for office car, stationery for this, electricity charge for office. I was stating everything clearly. So the one they will see transfer for feeding at home. That said that one is not part. That one is from my salary. So they were getting all those things. It was easy for them to be able to identify it. And at the end of the day, they charged me and I paid and I walked away. I don't have any problem. So I wasn't panicking. I'm not rushing. Nobody is coming to threaten my life. But if you say, no, you don't want to do that, and then I'll be the one to decide to come and meet you, it's always a problem. It is always, always a problem. So please, I will advise everyone who has not gone to make their filing or return or pay now, they should go ahead. So change number 2 for business owners. Those who own small businesses, who are sole traders, SMEs. Those that run sole tradership or small enterprise, keynote, turnover threshold, tax relief, and ensuring proper record keeping. Under the new tax law, small companies turnover, if your turnover is 100 million naira or less, and your fixed asset is 250 million naira or less, you are exempted from company income tax. You are exempted from capital gains tax, and you are exempted from new development levy. Please, if your turnover is 100 million and below, but your fixed asset is higher than 250, you are not qualified. Your turnover must be less than 100 million and your fixed asset must be less than 250 million. 250 million or below. It must be together. Otherwise, no way. And for those of us that are professionals, you are a lawyer, you are an accountant, you are a surveyor, you are this. You are not, they don't have any category for you as small company. You go there and pay your normal transaction. They said they are not part of small company definition. So this is the thing that usually affects small companies. Then the importance of registration. Please, it will be good for you to register your company. Those of us that are operating companies that are not registered, please, I will advise that you go and register your company. Registration is not expensive. Now, there's also another important thing. For those of you that are collecting, when I get to that place, I will explain it. Let's go ahead. Now, that is all about because you as a sole trader or an enterprise owner, you are regarded as also individual. Your company and yourself are the same. So whatever I've explained under that individual has covered you as a sole trader. The only difference is that you pay for sole traders like us, we pay direct assessment. We don't pay payee. That's the difference. Now for companies, one of the new key provision is that they have removed the education tax, they have removed petroleum trust fund, they've removed Nigeria information technology, weather development, something. All of them, this need that they have removed all of them and they merged everything together to become development levy, 4% of accessible profit. Then the tax framework is consolidated to improve compliance and remove overlapping taxes. That's okay, but we have not been able to benefit that. Business owners must ensure they understand new definitions of residence and non-residence tax status, digital service stations, and new rules for gains from digital assets. What does that mean? For everybody that is doing business online now, cryptocurrency, people that are doing kits, all those people, you will pay tax now. Before they can exempt themselves, but now you are not exempted. Everything you have to pay tax. The government have a way of being able to identify that for you to pay. So you are not exempted. VAT remains 7.5%. Businesses whose turnover is below 25 million are exempted from charging VAT. Please, when you are exempted from charging VAT, it means that you cannot charge your clients VAT. If you mistakenly charge your clients VAT, please remit. If you mistakenly charge your clients VAT, it is not a crime. But if you charge them VAT and they paid you, and you did not remit, it becomes a crime, and it is criminal. Please, let's get that straight. Then you have your basic food items, educational services, medical services, all those things are exempted from that. They are zero rated. They don't charge them. What this zero rated means that when you are buying, they are not supposed to charge you, or when you cannot charge VAT, and whatever you have paid out as VAT to people you buy from, you can't collect it back. Meaning that there is no VAT input for you because your VAT output is zero. So VAT collected must be remitted monthly. And you have between 1st and 21st of the subsequent month to be able to remit your VAT. For time's sake, limited liability companies, small companies, we have small companies and then we have large companies. Small companies are companies that their turnover is less than 100 million. Your CIT is zero. Therefore, companies above 100 million, your CIT, now this 25% I wrote here is a bit of challenge in the sense that the 25% have not been approved. It is still 30%. But they are saying that the 25%, the decision will be taken by whether the Senate or the committee or something. It's not very clear right now. So what is happening there is that it is still 30%, not 25%. Then your annual development levy is 4%, and you must do your filing every year. Annual returns is compulsory for both company and for both individuals. Withholding tax. Withholding tax is not an additional tax. It is a tax that you pay in advance of the tax you are going to pay at the end of the year. Government just say, please, can we take some now to run our operations? When you now want to pay later, whatever we take now, you can deduct it from what you pay later. So it's a tax in advance. It's not an additional tax. And these are the rates. For rent, take 10% withholding tax. Professional services, contracts, all those ones are. Now, I decided to put this table here for people to see. When you say corporate resident, you mean company that is in Nigeria, corporate resident, companies that are not in Nigeria, then non-corporate, that's individual resident, that's Nigerians, you and I, and then all those expatriates, these are their own way they charge them. These are the various rates. I can share this with the organization. Penalties under the new tax law. Failure to file returns will be charged penalty. Failure to deduct or remit payee or withholding tax will be charged penalty. Interest on unpaid taxes, there's penalty on it. And the enforcement now is now data-driven. That is why they introduced what we call e-invoicing. For those companies, you will need to know more. And this is not a platform for us to start teaching you all those things. You will need a tax consultant. Get the one you know you trust. It will be okay for you. Now, for capital allowances is like depreciation. For assets that you put to use to be able to generate income for your business, the government have agreed that those assets are supposed to be given some allowances for putting those things to use. And these are all the allowances, and this is the breakdown.
Where is the...
Thank you.
What?
I will start answering questions.
Thank you. Dr. Mesh, thanks again. We have some comments and questions already in the chat box. Fellow Lions and guests, please don't unmute yourself. We would let you know when to speak, please. Okay, so let me take a few questions from the chat box. If you have a question and you need to speak, just show by a raise of hand so that we'll call you to speak, please. Okay, so Dr. Mesh, I'm going to the chat room now. First comment there from Lion Ngozi Pascal Okoye says, spot on, I'm insurance personified. Okay, I guess that's to your comment on everybody having insurance. Then my DG says, for traders, how is tax calculated? Dr. Mesh, you may need to take that.
Okay. For traders, you know, we have 3 levels of tax authorities in Nigeria. We have the federal, we have the state, and we have the local government. The local government is supposed to take responsibility of all these small traders. But, you know, the local government is also, how will I call it now? They are taking advantage of the whole situation. I don't know how government is going to resolve that for now. Because the local government officers will come, they will collect shop tax, television tax, radio tax. They will collect all those tax and the present tax, whatever the name they call it, then they will go. And then another set will now come, say, that set that came the last time, they were fraudulent. Those are not the sets you're supposed to pay to. They will not come. They will not charge you again. Then when you leave, area boys will not come. They will not say, come and pay for grand rent, pay for this rent, pay for opening shop rent. They will not come, they will not collect. So how government is going to resolve that, I don't know. But the local government is responsible for all those traders. That's what you are putting your things to sell and all those shops and everything. Lock-up shops, they are supposed to be, the revenue from those ones are supposed to go to the local government. If they are sincere, they will be able to collect adequately. But the way they are exploiting most of those people is terrible. The time when you see all this car and everything, somebody is cooking and you see someone coming that wants to come and tell the woman to pay tax. Now, if you want the woman to pay tax, there's no need carry the woman back pot of rice. When they see tomatoes and see chair and see all those things, they will kick all of them away, see all those things. But when they see pot of rice, they will carry the rice, put it inside the bag, carry the stew, put it inside there. And you talking to, why are you people carrying this? If you say you don't want the woman to sell, let her carry her things and go. So why are you seizing the items? Why not seize the, is it the items you came to arrest? Or is the woman that refused to pay tax? It's not the pot of rice. And it almost caused some trouble. So we just decided to leave the whole issue. And so I don't know how government will resolve that. But for traders, it is the local government that are responsible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Lion, I know I can see your hand up, but just hold on. I will give you a chance to speak. Dr. Mesh, there's another question. Can value-added tax be reduced? That's another question from Latif Adekojo.
I did not get the question, ma'am.
Can VAT be reduced?
Okay, yes, VAT can be reduced. It's called VAT input and VAT output. Now, if I buy a laptop from the person selling laptop, that person is going to charge me VAT. But that laptop, I'm not the final user. I am supposed to sell the laptop, which is my product. Now, because I have that person have charged me VAT, let's say the person says the VAT I'm supposed to pay is 7.5% on 100,000, which is 7,500. So I give the person 7,107,500. Now I now sold my laptop for 200,000. 7% VAT will give me 7.5% VAT will give me 15 million. Sorry, 15,000. Sorry, 15,000. Now, because I have paid 7,500 before, the total VAT I will remit to government will be 7,500 because I paid 7,500 before. Why? My VAT output, meaning the one that I charge people that they pay me, is 15,000. The one that I paid, which is the input to the product I sold, is 7,500. So you say 15 less 7,500, and then I'll pay the balance 7,500. Now the problem where, excuse me, the problem we usually face is that a lot of us do not understand how they write their invoices. So both the VAT and everything, they add everything together and charge the client. And when the client now pays, even including the withholding tax, by the time the client do everything and pay, but now you now start deduction, you now start doing manipulation and everything. VAT is called value added tax. What value did you add to the product you have before you sold it? It is the value you added that you are going to add tax on. You are going to charge tax on. That's what it's called, value added. So a laptop that I did not produce, a laptop that I did not, I'm not the one who imported it, but I just bought and I wanted to sell. It is the process of my being able to go to the shop and buy. And then the inconvenience, that is the only thing I'm adding to it. So what am I supposed to charge VAT on? It's not supposed to be the total amount. Value added, it is the value that you added to it. The tax authorities know that. But because they know that, okay, people have looked for one way or the other to be able to scheme or scam government or scheme their way out of it, the tax authorities too now look for a way to scam the taxpayer and scheme their way through. That is why we are having conflict every time. If you sit down accurately and explain to them, definitely they will know. If they understand, they will just leave you alone. I'll give an example. I'll give this example. This morning also, it was this morning. This morning, a client of mine filed his payee, no, not payee, his direct assessment, annual returns, and paid a certain amount, and declared certain amount. Now, the government said, no, that amount you declare cannot be your income. Bring your bank statement. So he brought his bank statement. Now they look through the bank statement and say, okay, there are certain things that are supposed to be income that you did not classify as income. So they now added everything. Instead of deducting what he declared as from the amount they arrived at, they said, no, the amount he declared plus the amount they arrived at, they added it together, and they said she come and pay tax. And I said no, it was a battle. We argued and argued and argued until I proved it to the man. I said, he said he's an expert. I said, I know you're an expert. I said, but I've been, before you, if you look at your age and my age, and the time I started work, I've done this tax thing for 20 years. So there is no way you are going to be an expert than myself. So we started arguing until he now said, okay, and I should give him time. Let him go back and do his recomputation, and then we get back to me. Since then, he has not gotten back to me. So he is expecting me to call him. I know what he's doing, that he's trying to do some mathematical gymnastics so that he will now look for a way to come and tell me to do more. I don't have any problem. I certainly do not have. So you must understand these things. If you don't understand it, they will take advantage of you. And that's the simple truth. Because they are not sincere.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. I'll probably be taking more than one question at a time so that you can respond.
Address them.
Okay. So the next question says, can allowance be taxed? That is one. Then another question says, thank you, doctor. Please, I would like to ask about how to handle tax when paying domestic assistance and drivers. So maybe you take those two. This one has to do with a company, yes. So take those two and then I'll take the next one.
Okay. Now, allowances can be taxed. You know, before we have what we call, they defined it. I don't know whether a lot of companies still do that. You have basic salary. When they say gross salary, your gross salary as defined by the law before is supposed to be basic, housing, transport. Then the allowances, they now break it down. Then that's okay. You have medical, you have a wardrobe allowance, you have utility, you have that. They will not do everything. That's okay. There's a limit to the allowances that can be taxed, just in order for them to be able to give you so that you can have a higher disposable income. But now I don't know how they do it. So they just categorize everything as gross income. All the allowances, put everything, they categorize it as gross income. So allowances are taxed. That's what I will tell you. Now for domestic staff, for a company, the person who has that domestic staff, those domestic staff, they are regarded as part of, if it's the company that gave them to you, they are regarded as benefit in kind. And for those benefit in kind, they will be added to your salary and they will be taxed, subjected to tax. The company will do that. But if they are not under the company, after you receive your salary, you now decide to pay your staff. This company did not get them for you. It is you that just decided to say, okay, I want a house help, I want a driver, I want a this. Now, the law says that you are supposed to deduct some specific amount from them, but I don't know how much you are paying your driver. If you use the current tax law, you will discover that the driver might end up not paying. If you are paying your driver 100,000 a month, he might end up not paying tax. There's no cook. I don't know whether you pay your cook up to 100,000 too. All those ones might not. Cleaners, all those things, they might not. So at the end of the day, they might end up not paying any tax. That's just the truth. Because when you are doing your returns at the end of the year as an individual, there's a form you are supposed to fill, and there's provision for you to put those things inside and state all those things. And then the government will know how to determine it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Lion, I know, please go ahead and speak, and then we'll go back to the chat room. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, sir. Yeah, it's a wonderful discussion this night. Yes, I have two questions. The first question is related to salary, but in another way. It's been happening before. I don't know if it is still continuing. Like somebody working in a company as a consultant, and I know before consultants are paying 6%, 5 to 6%. Does this still exist by the new law now that a consultant still pay the same amount? And based on the class of it now, that when somebody is earning below 800 or around 800, then it doesn't need to pay. That means it's not entitled to pay the tax. That's for the payee when somebody is a consultant to a company. Then the second question for somebody who is a trader and the value of his trading money is around 9 to 10 million, which means he is not entitled to pay tax too, according to your definition. But in case such person need to get tax clearance in processing traveling, how does it go about it? So those are my two questions.
Okay. I will address it like this. As a consultant, you are not an employee or a staff of that organization because you are a consultant. So you are not supposed to pay payee unless there is another arrangement that is not expressly stated. But as a consultant to a particular organization, you are not supposed to be on their salary scale or on their salary table or schedule. You are not supposed to be. They pay you and they deduct withholding tax. And it's among those rates. Because you are a professional, they deduct 10% from your 5% from your money. As a professional, they deduct 5% from whatever they are paying you. And that is what they will remit. Now, let me explain that. If you are using, I'll take myself as an example. If you are using Meshach Masade as the consultant, I'm an individual. Therefore, if they pay me 100,000 on a monthly basis, they will deduct 5,000 as withholding tax and remit to the state in which I'm consulting for them. I reside in Lagos and I consult for them, I'm in Lagos. Even wherever I'm consulting for them, as long as I reside in Lagos, they will remit to Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. So that is how it is. As I will not be in their payee list. I cannot be there because I'm not a staff. Now, but if I'm consulting for them based on XYZ Limited, this is now a corporate body, but I'm representing that corporate body. They will pay to the corporate body and deduct the money. When they deduct that money, 10%, they will remit that 10% to federal because it's a limited liability company. So that is how, and then I'll go to that company that I'm representing to collect my salary. It is that company that will pay my payee because I'm working for that company that seconded me to the company where I'm doing consulting. But if it's an individual, they will pay me my money and they will deduct withholding tax, that's all. Now, in terms of the tax you want to pay to the Lagos State, it's not payee, it's called direct assessment because you are the owner of the business and you are you. So that is for the salary and consultancy. Now for trader, now I need to clarify, is it that the person made a profit of 10 million or 10 million is the capital of that business? Please, I need you to clarify that.
Okay, it's making reference to profit of 10 million.
Okay, as a trader, the person made 10 million. That 10 million is regarded as his income because himself and the business are one. So he will be subjected to tax based on that 10 million because that is his profit. So I want to believe that that profit are taking into consideration a lot of things because a lot of them do not understand what I just did one for somebody now. And the man ended up, what brought the whole issue was when I did the computation and prepared this, he was to pay tax of close to 10 million. And he screamed, for what? Where is it? He didn't have 10 million. I said, calm down. It is the report you gave me that this thing can be reduced. Then now discuss. In your business, did you make telephone calls? He say yes. Telephone call is compulsory. I say good. How much did you make? Telephone is not there. So we didn't charge telephone expenses. So bring your telephone evidence of telephone costs. Did you pay for electricity bill? He said, that is compulsory. That even in band A. I say fine. All those recharge that you do on weekly, monthly, daily, bring all of them. And then we add it up. And by the time we finish doing all those things, all those expenses, do you buy phone in your car? I say yes. Do you buy phone in generator in I didn't give you like say yes. Even do you fix your laptop? Do all those things cost we are not there. So when you now bring all those expenses and will not do it, it starts now drop tremendously. And I said, oh, I said, this is what, because you didn't bring them forward. I asked you, you say you don't have anything. That's just all. So we prepared it for you. So if that trader does not have other expenses, a lot of them do not understand. They just, okay, we'll go to the market, I buy product at 20 million and I sell at 30 million. 10 million is my profit. 10 million is not a profit. The person that is trading, let me assume all this roadside trader, like somebody cooking to sell or working, you are exerting energy. After a while, you want to go and buy soft drink to drink. That is a cost. And it's because of that business you buy pure water or whatever bottle of water you buy, you drink. You take Uber or take taxi to that place. You transport yourself during rainy season. You buy umbrella, all these are expenses you incur for the purpose. And then you fall sick because of tiredness and everything. You go to the hospital to pay for, and it's from the business you take that money to pay for medical expenses and everything. They are all part of the expenses that must be deducted from that business, irrespective of whether the business is an individual business or it's a limited liability. You must deduct those expenses. This is what I do. There's no transfer I make from my phone that doesn't have a solid. I will put it there for personal use, for business use. It's there. I separate it. So when I bring I'm not afraid to give them my bank statement too. I'm not afraid. I'll give them my bank statement. This is my bank statement, and then I'll be waiting for you. So they already know me from that tax office that if it is measure, just make sure you do it correctly, because the man will not agree. And I will not agree because I know that I am right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
That's a wonderful explanation.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mesh. Okay, so let's go back to the chat room. There's a comment, as usual, Dr. Mesh, awesome delivery. That's from Lion Obilo. Lion Jebe says, a company that registered in September 2025, but officially commenced operations in January 2026. When will it file its annual return? That is first question. Second question says, is it permissible for registered small business owners to pay taxes to the local tax authority?
Excuse me. Sorry.
Hello?
Just quickly take over. Yeah.
Did you get the question, sir? Did you get the question?
I got the first one. I got the first question about the business that was registered in 2025 September.
Yes.
So when is he going to pay his first?
Yes, he started business in January 2026.
January 2026.
Yes.
That was the first question. Then the second question, I didn't get it very well because at that time I think I had some choking in my throat.
Yeah, the second question says, is it permissible for registered small business owners to pay taxes to the local tax authority?
Okay. Now let me take the first one before the second one. Okay. No, let me take the second one first. Now, the local tax authority is what the person needs to define. When you say local tax authority, are you talking of the state or the local government? Because if it's a small business owner and that business owner is not a limited liability, as long as sometimes there's usually a confusion because a lot of people do not understand. Like I have a friend, a very good friend, and the wife went to register shop where they sell soft drink, mineral. He registered limited liability. And then FRS now came and loaded VAT. Over 4 million. They said she come and pay us VAT. The person now came to me, and then we now went to the FRS. FRS said, no, this is limited liability. I said, come. I carried them in my car. I said, let's go to that office. When they got there, the total worth of all the product was not to 500,000 naira. Mineral, bread, biscuits, that's 100 naira. The man was looking at this. I said, is this the company you are calling, the place you are calling limited? Say, yes, sir. Madam, I better go and change it too, because FIRS will continue to come regularly. And we just went and they just collapsed down there and started doing another thing. So we need to be able to define that smallness of the business. Now, that is for limited liability, because for that, you are responsible to government, federal government. But if it is for individuals, now, you will pay, if it's a shop owner, all those lock-up shop, you will pay to the local government. You pay to the local government taxes. But it's not, you know, those taxes you pay, they have different name for it, lock-up shop tax, all those things, they are all pay. You pay to, and then you pay for land use, you pay for television, you pay for car, you pay for this, all those ones. If they coordinate it very well, if they are those taxes you pay also represent your personal tax, because it's a small business owner. It's just a petty trader. Then now when you now leave and you now start opening boutique and all these things, now the government is not being attracted to you. You now have staff. So they expect you to pay your staff salary and then pay for payee, and then you come officially to register, and then you yourself as a staff, you are supposed to, you know, one problem we usually have again as small business owners, that we believe that the business of the money of the business is our money. It's not your money. If you eat your business money, you are a thief. Sorry to use that word. You are stealing from the business. It's not your money. Your money is the salary you are entitled to as a small business owner. You are entitled to salary. Take that salary. That's your money. Now, at the end of the year, the business will now make its account and declare profit. And based on that profit, you will now collect dividends. If you decide to pay dividend, you will take based on the shares you have. Maybe because you have 100% shares, then the 100% shares is yours. The profit is yours. But if it's not that, if you didn't, don't go and be spending the company money and say it's your money. It's not your money. You are stealing from the company. That is our major problem for those of us that have small businesses. We so much believe that the company money is our money. So we spend, we transfer, do DSTV, this thing, do that, do that, do that, do this, do that. It's not your money. Your money is the salary you are paying yourself. So learn to pay yourself salary and leave the company money alone. Thank you. That's for that one. Now, for the company that registered in September 2025 and started business 2026, there's something I want to ask. What is the year end? That is, what date have you chosen to make your account to? That will determine when you are supposed to file. Now, sometimes some people will say, because I started in June, I registered in September, let my year end be August. But I usually explain and I usually tell people that the best date should be December, because December coincided with the year of government. So you will not be in between policies. If government wants to take a new policy, it usually starts at the beginning of another year. Now, if there was a new policy and your year end was June, you will discover that the policy of 2025 will affect your business for 6 months, and then the policy of 2026 will now affect your business for another 6 months. So it's always difficult to plan like that. Instead, make your year end December. So I am assuming for this person that his year end or our year end is December. If that is the case, the first account you are going to prepare will start from between January to June 2027, because you have done 12 months of operation. Now, you have between 1st of January 2027 to 30th of June 2027 to prepare your account and file it. If you did not, you will pay penalty of 100,000 for the first month of default, which is July. Now, if at the end of July you have not paid, by August, you will pay another 50,000 to add to that 100,000, it becomes 150. If you decide not to prepare at all for the next 3 years, government will not have any problem with you. Then they will calculate 50,000, 50,000 for like 3 years for you. 50,000 is 1.8 million. And then they now add it to the 100,000 and now become 100 and it now become 1.9 million. That's the penalty you will pay for not filing. So I think that should be clear. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Hello. I hope I was heard.
Yes, yes, you were. Yes, okay. Yes, you were. Very clear. Thank you. Okay, Thank so you. I have some other questions. This one says, okay, so the person that asked the question about allowances for drivers says, thank you, doctor, for your response. It brings clarity. Then there's a question that says, then you said a company with less than 25 million income should not charge VAT. Can you please
Yes.
expatiate on this? Does that mean the company should be doing a zero filing every month?
Yes.
That is one question. Then
that
the next
question has been
question.
answered. Zero. Yes, zero filing.
Okay. Okay. So the next question says, what practical steps should someone take if they have not been paying taxes regularly, but now want to become compliant?
Now, which of the taxes are you saying? Taxes as an individual or taxes as company, limited liability? I will assume the two. Now, for
Yes,
an individual, if it's taxes as per individual, you know what? Just walk to the nearest Lagos State, walk to the nearest Lagos State Internal Revenue Service in your area and tell them you want to pay tax. They will come. Now, there are two ways of doing it. You can decide to walk to the bank and tell the bank I want to pay tax. The bank will generate a payer ID for you and you pay and you walk away. They'll give you a receipt. But you have that receipt. Your name is in the names of your name is in the list of name of people who pay taxes, taxpayers. But you don't have a file with Lagos State. You pay tax to Lagos State too, but you don't have a file because you pay directly through the bank. To have a file, you will need to go to a tax office and they will raise up a file for you, open a file for you. And they will now be giving you tax computation or tax liability every year for you to pay. For your information, if you start now, the least you will pay will be what you pay now. Next year, you pay higher than what you paid. The other year like that, you continue to pay higher than what you paid before, unless you have proof that your income, like I will always give the example with myself. I lost some clients this year. Why? We increased our audit fee, and they say no, they want to reduce audit fee, and I refused. And then they said they are going. I said no problem, and they went. And then you are now coming back. The same thing happened last year. They want to reduce audit fee. Do you think I'm not also facing the same problem? I said no, and they left. I don't have any problem. Therefore, we also had a lot of clients that came too. Now, the tax authorities are now assuming that I have a particular level of income, which I don't have. And I brought out my report and I showed them, look at these letters. They are of resignation from audit as auditors. So these revenues that were supposed to come, they are no longer my revenue. So how can you now be assuming that those revenues are mine? It's because I understood the system very well. But if you don't, you will just allow them bamboozle you. And they will tell you to come and pay tax that you are not supposed to pay. So as an individual, if you want to start paying now, you will start by paying 3 years first. That is the way it works. 3 years. That's what you will start with. That's the way it works. So after that, you will now be paying on a yearly basis. If you walk down yourself to do that, they might not charge you any penalty. But if you allow them to come and meet you, like people who commit traffic offenses, and then the government now arrested them, and then they now told them, okay, bring your tax, and they said, no, when you get to their court, this thing, they can write tax of 250,000, go and pay. They can write 300 and something thousand, go and pay. And once they write it, you pay. But if they say they have tax clearance, I have my tax, I look at my phone, I have my tax clearance, look at it. I have my this and that, and I'll give them. Excuse me. Apologies. Continue. I just want to plug something to my phone. My laptop is showing.
So I have two other questions.
Right on.
Good evening, doctor. Thanks for all you have lectured us on. How does one treat medical expenses, especially when bills are huge, like above 30 million?
Okay. Now, medical expenses, it is only people that are alive that work.
What happened? I think it dropped off. I think it dropped off. I'm sure he would.
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, okay, you're back.
Yes. My laptop just went off because I didn't plug on time. Okay. Now, as I was saying, what did I stop? I was explaining individual.
You were explaining medical. Medical.
Okay, thank you. For the medical, it is somebody who is alive that can work for revenue. Now, if you spent a huge amount, I want to ask, is it an HMO or is just direct payment? You are allowed to deduct that money because you spent it. Do you have evidence that you spent it? Yes. If there is evidence, it's an allowable deduction. There is nothing wrong in a company making a loss. There's nothing wrong. You can make a loss in your business. Because if that company dies today, I can tell you that government will not have any tax to collect if that company dies today. So for government to collect tax, the company need to be alive. And for the company to be alive, the owner or those running the business need to be alive. They need to be in good health. So it is allowed for you to medical expenses and liable expenses. Whether government have pegged it, I don't know. Because I've not come across anywhere they peg medical expenses. But that expenses must be reasonable and must be necessary for the business. Thank you. Any other person?
Thank you, sir. Yes. Are unemployed people also required to pay from monetary assistance from friends and families? Are they expected to pay tax from monetary assistance from friends and families?
Okay. One of the confusion that a lot of us had was that government will just block your account. That was the interpretation people were giving online. They'll just block your account and then they will subject it to tax. They will deduct it and then they will just block. All those ones were wrong because people were just assuming. Nobody knew. They don't just block your account. I can explain the process. For it to get to that extent of blocking your account, you must have gone through a lot of process. A lot of process. Now, if I'm transferring money to my son, I will put the transfer for feeding allowance, school feeding allowance from dad. So you cannot see transfer for school feeding allowance from dad that you say is income. It's not an income. Then, if I want to pay my staff, or if I'm giving my staff, sending my staff to go and buy this or this, even myself, I'll put it. If I want to take money, or let me say I want to drop feeding money at home now, I'll put it there. Family feeding money from mesh allowance. That's why I just put family feeding money for June, for July, from mesh allowance. Sometimes the space will not be enough. I'll just, whatever it is, I'll try to put mesh ALL OW. Leave it wherever it gets to, I'll put it there. So that's the way I take care of that expenses. You must be able to make sure that you record all those expenses very well. If you don't do that, they will take it as, because what tax people will do is that they'll just go to your bank statement, add up all the credit balance and call them income, and then tell you to come and be defending. So the best thing is for you to have narration. If you are doing transfer to anybody, have good narration. Tell them what they should transfer the money. When they are transferring the money, what they should put as their narration, and it will be okay. You will not have issues. And government will not just stand up and come and block your account. Let me try to clarify that. You take time, but let me clarify. I'll be fast. Now, if government gives me an assessment, like as I took my bank statement there, and then I could not defend all the income that came in, like my type of business, there are sometimes my clients will transfer money to my account and say, go and pay tax for me. And then when they transfer 20 million, and I pay federal land revenue, pay 19,900,000 and something thousand, and you are not calling the 20 million my income, I will not agree. But when 20 million comes in, and then I cannot defend it, and I'm saying it's not income, government will not bill me. I have 30 days to object. I will object. They will now say, okay, bring record. I still did not bring record. They will now say no. They will not be doing up back and forth, back and forth. When it now gets to, they will not say, okay, they cannot reduce it. They will not take me to appeal. There's a court, appeal court. I think it's called tax tribunal or something like that. They will not go there, will not judge. God, those people will not say, okay, go and pay. I say, no, it's a lie. They say, bring evidence. I say, I don't have evidence, but it's not an income. They will not go. When it now gets to a point where they now say, okay, they have tried all their best possible to be able to ensure that they defend and give me opportunity to defend. I could not. They will now raise an assessment, a final assessment for me. And then I'm not showing stubbornness that no way, I will not pay because that 20 million is not an income. Yet I cannot prove that it's not an income. It is after those processes have been gone through, you've done those processes that they will now say, okay, put Leon on his account. We deduct that tax. Remember, it is not the 20 million that will be deducted. It is the tax on that 20 million that will be deducted. They do not put Leon on my account and they do not start deducting it. And when they want to deduct it, they can deduct from your account. They can deduct from your recharge card. You recharge 10,000 naira. You'll be surprised that the company will give you 5,000, they will credit you 5,000, 5,000 will go to tax. And they'll be informing you. You do all those things, they'll be doing it. That is how it is. It's not that when you just block your account, or you don't, no. It doesn't work like that. And I'm categorically telling you that. Thank you.
Okay, next one. If company pays school fees for the children of the directors, can it be deducted? That is question 1.
No.
No, it cannot be deducted. Okay.
Go
Next
on, question 2.
Next question. In your opinion?
No, it can't be deducted because it's part of the director's income.
So,
but excuse me, before you go ahead.
Yes, please.
Excuse me, please, before you go ahead. If that school fees for that director's children is like a scholarship from the company to the children of the director, it will be deducted as expenses. But if it is the director's children that the company is paying on their behalf, it is not a scholarship. That money will be deemed as additional income to the director in the hand of the director, and it will be subjected to tax. Thank you. You can go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. In your opinion, sir, what mindset shift?
Yes.
What mindset shift do Nigerians need to truly thrive under the country's tax laws rather than merely comply with them?
Okay. For me, it's just the ability to understand it. Like last year when the new tax law came and people were doing it, I didn't panic. Even I told my church people that there's no need to be panicking. Don't panic. Just relax and try to understand the tax law first. And then start to understand the implementation. Like me, I don't panic. It will be difficult for tax laws to anything about tax to panic me. Nothing. I don't think so. Because I walk to them. This is my bank statement. Take. I want to pay my tax. You know why? I want to be free on the road. If I'm driving and they stop me, I look at them, say, yes, what do you want? You can't just tell me this and harass me. You can't do it. Because I have my documents and I have evidence of my paying tax. And I've told police, say, look, the uniform you're putting on is my tax. So. And I brought out my file. I said, look at it, this is my tax clearance. So you that is standing here, I don't think you have tax clearance. So mind the way you talk to me. Then he now asked me, are you a lawyer? I said, no. Then he now saw something in my car and I said, okay, they go now. And so now they do. And I just drove past. But I didn't say go and fight with a policeman that have gone. Oh, please don't do that. I'm not giving you that authority. I'm only trying to explain to you the confidence you have and the mindset you have when you obey. When you obey. When you are obedient to the law, when you keep to the law, and when you do the things right, you will not panic. You don't have to be panicking. Let them do whatever they want to do. And again, what affects a lot of people, mindset that affects people, is that they'll say, all the taxes we have been paying, the government have not been able to use it to do anything. Don't worry about that. It's not your problem. The cane, God will use to cane them. He didn't hand it over to you and I. We can just, don't worry, let them do whatever they want to do. At the end of the day, if I say certain things here now, which I don't know, I don't want to create any backbone or backlash or anything, you will see that all the money they are stealing, at the end of the day, it's not taking them anywhere. When they die, it's 6 feet. 6 this thing coffin, they enter 6 feet. But before you say 2, 3, 4 years, all the money have eroded. Their children will not be able to use it to do anything. So what's the need of stealing the money? I've not seen anybody who has 100 mansion and slept in the 100 mansion in the same go day. It's not possible. It's just greed that is killing us, corruption. Car that you have, movement from one place to another. Somebody will have 414 cars, 15 cars. Solomon said, vanity upon vanity, all is vanity.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Doc, good evening, doctor. Which of the personal tax do you advise on? Via the bank or walk to the tax office?
Walk to the tax office and have a record. Because anything that happened in Lagos State now, with me, I have a client that I went to do land use. There was a problem with his or her land, and I worked there, and I was trying to resolve it. Suddenly, the head of that unit in Lagos State just came out and said, "You that is talking, do you pay tax?" You know, if I wasn't a taxpayer, the man had dazed me completely. I said, yes. He said, where is your tax office? I said, it's Solo tax office. And my tax officer is so and so. And the station manager is this, and this is my number. I brought out my card, this is my card. I said, you can key it into your system and you see that I pay tax. So I am somebody, I cannot, if me keep to the law, I cannot tell somebody not to keep to the law. That's why I came to defend the man. And then he said I should come in. And they did not listen to my explanation and recomputed the man's tax. That's because I kept to it. So I will advise you to go to a station and you will have a file there. Although there's consequence, you will pay more. Because when you go to the bank is that you are the one going to tell them you want to pay. You just walk to the bank, I want to pay 20,000. You pay, they gave you receipt. But when you now want to get a tax clearance, you can't, because you will need to add, it is a bank cannot issue you a tax clearance. They can only issue you a receipt confirming that you paid specific amount for tax. To get that tax certificate that you as an individual has been cleared by government because you paid your tax, which is your civic responsibility. That's the meaning of tax clearance. So you will need that tax clearance will be issued from a station, a tax station. So you need to go and register with a tax station and get those documents. They'll just tell you to bring certain things. You bring and then you have a file there, and you can go there on a yearly basis to reconcile with them. It's not a big problem at all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Mesh. We have really overstretched our time. I'm not sure we can take so much again. I'll just take a last comment here from Lion Abimbola Quadri that says, good evening, doctor. You are highly appreciated for the lectures. Almighty God will continue to grant you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And I say amen to that. So, fellow Lions and guests, our time is really fast spent. And I'm not sure we can take too many questions anymore. But in case you still have questions, you can reach out to me. I'm sure Dr. Mesh would not mind answering some of those questions, so we can compile those questions and get them across to him, and he will provide clarity. While the session was going on, we were sharing attendance, and I want to believe that we've all filled out attendance. May I please?
Yes, ma'am.
May I please beg everyone to turn on their cameras? We usually like taking snapshots of sessions. Just please, briefly, just turn on your cameras. And my DG, please, while cameras are on and we're taking our photographs, may I invite you humbly, may I humbly invite you to give a vote of thanks to Dr. Mesh and to everyone here, especially the senior people that joined from outside and inside. Thank you, my DG. Thank you, everyone, for turning on your cameras. The ones yet to turn on their cameras, please, oblige us. Lion Harry, please let me know when you're done. My DG, you have the floor.
Good evening, my GLT, my lion leaders in the house, and my fellow lions. In fact,
Good
I can't
evening, ma'am.
believe that this is the 12th series of this learning lounge. Dr. Mesh, I think that the best was saved for last. That's the way I feel right now. Thank you very much for such an insightful tax discussion, deliberation, knowledge passing, clarification. You did everything in one piece. So thank you very much. But most especially, I'd like to use this opportunity to thank my GLT. You've been amazing. It's been 12 months of work, and not just work, it's been 12 months of amazing work. I'd like to appreciate you for always being there, always carrying us along, and most especially for the strategic topics you chose. You didn't choose topics at random. Every month there was something that affects us truly. So thank you very much, my GLT. And you know that this lounge will not be a lounge without participants. So I want to really appreciate everyone that is here today and who have always been here. I see there's so many regular faces. I mean, if I start calling names, I'm going to call all the 62 names here. But thank you so much. And remember that, yes, it's 2 weeks to the end of the year, but it's continued service. It's not the service is not ending. Service is just transiting.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and stay blessed, and all the very best. We see you soon. Remember that next cabinet meeting is in Imota, so I hope to see everyone there. Have a good evening.
Thank you, my DG. Thank you so much. Still looking beautiful. Thank you.
I forgot to say my beautiful GLT. Look at you.
I beat you to it. Thank you so much. Thank you for honoring our session.
Thank you.
Lion Dele, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Permission to fall out, ma.
Granted, provided you fill that the attendance sheet.
God bless everybody.
God bless you all.
Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
so much. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
Have a
Have a
restful
sweet
night,
dream.
everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.
Lion Abimbola.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma.
Good night,
Thank you. Good night.
everybody.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
ma.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.